What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Aaron B, and welcome back to Tacos and Touchdown Live. And I got a special guest for you, host of the Justin Time podcast, my guy Justin Chute. How's it going, Justin?
It's good, man. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, and especially since the Cowboys are actually being proactive this time around. Because last year we were kind of like, when are we going to get this CD Lamb thing going or what? But they're actually showing a little bit of life. You got Osa re-signed. You got him for a good deal. And then they're making some restructure with CD good for the Cowboys right now. I'm fingers crossed that they keep it going and get this Micah Parsons deal going on. But
100%. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, but we're not here just to talk about the Cowboys. They're going to talk about the NFL Combine and everything that happened and everything. So the first thing I wanted to ask you, who is your three players that you think that stand out at the NFL Combine?
I'm going to start off with Maxwell Hairston, the cornerback out of Kentucky. I think he ran the fastest 40 time for cornerbacks or defensive backs in the draft combine. I mean, his elite speed was showcased, and this is huge for his draft stock because his season was cut short during the college football year. I think he only played like 5 or 6 games due to a shoulder injury. But he's very fast, and I think he showcased that speed really well. And I thought he was a great corner the year before in college. So I think this 40 time was legit, and it surprised some scouts. And I wouldn't be surprised if he went round one because of it. So I like Maxwell Harrison. I especially think there's teams that need a cornerback round one, like Green Bay is going to need a corner. I know San Francisco's considering it, but they'll probably lean offensive line. So I like Maxwell Harrison going in rounds 1 and 2 because of that 40 speed. I like James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee as well. I think he had a great combine showing. He ran a 4.4 40-yard dash. And as a defensive lineman, that's kind of crazy. He showcases the athleticism, and, I think he has a lot of potential. And I hope he goes somewhere that'll be able to unlock that and develop him into the star that, I think that he can be. He was really good at Tennessee. They went to the playoff, and unfortunately they lost to the Ohio State Buckeyes in the first round in a blowout fashion. But nonetheless, he was pretty good all year, and I think he'll be pretty good in the NFL. And last but not least, I want to talk about Matthew Golden, the wide receiver from Texas. I knew Golden was fast. I didn't know he was 4.29 type fast. He was consistent all year for Texas, and he made big plays in every single game. He's got all the tools that you want out of a first-round wide receiver: elite speed, route running, hands. I really like his upside, and I think he's going to be a very good fit for whoever drafts him. I like him going first round. I think, honestly, there's been, after this 40 time, there's talks of him actually being wide receiver 1. We'll see how that goes with his drafts. I know teams have preferences on which wide receivers they like more. There's not really a huge gap. I think there's like 4 guys that fit that could be a wide receiver 1. I think Matthew Golden belongs in that discussion for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And just what he did in the combine this week kind of proved that he's not going to be in there in the second round. He's a first round guy. Mm-hmm. I know he may not be the tallest guy. I know he's like 5'11", about 190 pounds, but he showed at the University of Texas that he can get that separation you need in a receiver. He's a route runner and also adds value as a returner as well, because you've seen what he did in Houston. Yeah. If you need that addition, like, he has all the things. He just don't have he's not over 6 feet tall. But if you need a good wide receiver too, I think Matthew Golden is a good addition.
He's a big playmaker, man. And, he was huge for us in every single game. It felt like the A&M game, he was making big plays. Arizona State, he came in clutch. And even against Ohio State, he was making huge plays. So that's a guy you want for a round 1 receiver selection. You want a guy that's going to go out there and make big plays. And, when all shit hits the fan, who you're going to throw to, that's going to bring some juice back to that offense. So I like Matthew Golden. I think he's going to be a very good player.
I definitely agree. That Matthew Golden last year was on my top 3. But I'm just going to do my top 2. We can get into the next topic. My number 1 individual that impressed me was safety Nick Immawarrior from South Carolina. Yeah. He's 6'3", 220. He ran a sub 4.4 in the 40. He was the second leading defensive back behind Maxwell Harrison. He had the number one 10-yard split with a 1.49. He had the best vertical with a 43-inch vertical, 11-foot and 6-foot broad jump first, and then he maxed at 20 on the bench press and was the first. This I actually looked at the film on him yesterday. This is what I have on him. He possesses that physique and that striking power of like a weak side linebacker.
Mhm.
Yet he showcases that coverage skills and playmaking talent of a cornerback. He effectively leverage has length, instinct, and to intercept passes from opposing receivers. So he's a guy I think you could see in the first round.
Yep.
I know a lot of people were saying was it Starks out of Georgia, but I think number one safety right now is Moria. He has the size of thing you look for that in a safety, and he could actually you could put him in some linebacker situations, and he can be a big playmaker. So that's my first one on here. My second is I got to show love to my defensive lineman, and that is defensive tackle Derek Harmon out of
Hmm.
Oregon, who's 6'4.5", 314 pounds. And what impressed me was his individuals drills, where you seen the guy that's like I said 300 plus. He was so agile and everything in his drills, and he had a quick get up. He ran a sub 5 in the 40, and he had one of the best 10-yard splits when defensive lineman with a 1.74. And what I have on him, he showed a dynamic blend of aggression and strength and impressive lateral agility and making life difficult for opposing offensive linemen in trenches. He played in the Big Ten before. Well, he played for Michigan State before he went to Oregon this year. And being over 300 pounds, he's an athletic freak. He's full. He displays that individual at the drills, like I just said. But I think this guy, you could see like maybe early to mid second round pick and Derek Harmon. But those are my two on there. But we already talked about Matthew Golden. That was my third guy. I already knew you were going to talk about Matthew Golden. But
He was like my favorite player last year for the
Yeah.
Longhorns, so I had to throw him out there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because I know a lot of us were saying Isaiah Bond is going to be our wide receiver one. And, we're like, what's hopefully Matthew Golden can kind of transition playing in the
That
SEC.
changed. That changed quickly after
Yeah.
the UTSA game. I knew.
Yeah.
But Bond is good. Bond is very good. I just don't, after the year that he had at Bama, his sophomore year, you expected him to have a huge season this year. And, he was playing through injuries a lot of times. I think he only played like 7 to 8 games this year. But nonetheless, that's, he's a very, fast guy. And I think that, he'll go round 2 for sure, round 2 or 3. And he'll be, very good for wherever he goes to.
Yeah,
I just think he needs to get healthy.
Yeah, that's the main thing. And he keeps it adding on to his route running arsenal. I think he could be another guy that he may lean into early third, but I think he's a second round pick. Both those guys are very talented receivers, and they both got that track speed as well. So, especially in Matthew Golden's case, man, I wasn't expecting him to run that fast in the 40.
Yeah, definitely. That caught me with a surprise. Once he ran that 40, I knew he was going first round.
Oh yeah, like that was how to solidify. You're like, is he a second round? Like, no, he's a first round. If you think he's gonna be there, if the mock draft says a second round pick, they're lying because they just haven't updated yet.
It was very reminiscent of last year with Xavier Worthy when he broke the record and he ran that fast 40 time. You knew he was going first round. He wasn't going to slip to the second.
Yeah, like I think Texas is where if any wide receiver going in transfer portal, come to Texas, you're gonna be a first or second round pick. That's all I got to say with that. But
yeah. I mean, it's not a bad pitch. I mean, we got good receivers on roster right now, but I definitely think Texas is keeping their eyes open because I think they could use one more guy from the portal, and that spring window is coming soon, so we'll be seeing.
Oh yeah, definitely agree. And I'm gonna switch a little bit. Since we're talking about Texas, I wonder who was another player that impressed you that was as a former Longhorn. I know we got Kelvin Banks, Jahdae Barron, Matthew Gold, other receivers. Was there like that guy like, dang, he really showed out in the combine?
At the combine, I want to talk about Kelvin Banks' measurements because before coming into the combine, there was getting all this talk that he was going to have to play guard at the next level. And that kind of blew my mind because he never played guard at Texas. He came in day one and he was our left tackle and, he was solid. And I mean, he was the most decorated offensive lineman in the country this year. And, he was a little banged up playing through that, injured ankle for a couple games. And I think that was the reason why he didn't play so good during Georgia. He didn't get to even play Georgia round 2 in the playoffs or in the SEC championship game. So, um, those are missed opportunities for him to solidify, offensive tackle 1 in this class. Nonetheless, he's getting comparisons to Will Campbell because, that's like the next guy up.
Yeah.
And he's like half an inch shorter than Will Campbell in height, but he's got a longer wingspan and, bigger hands. So I think Kelvin Banks, he could go round 1. I think he will go round 1. Whether that's offensive tackle 1, I'm not sure because there's other guys that make a lot of sense too, like Harmon Mimbo from Missouri. That's a good prospect. I mean, he's big and he's fast. So if you're able to, make him into your offensive tackle for the next decade, then that's a success right there. But I like Kelvin Banks. I love Jahdae Barron. Outside of Matthew Golden, he was my favorite player at Texas as well. I watched Jahdae Barron play in high school. He went to Pflugerville Connolly, and he went and played against my Bastrop Bears in high school, and I watched him play live. And he was playing 2As in high school, and I knew the athleticism in him. And he stayed with Texas and he committed. And, he stayed a 5th year and he took on Michael Huff's number 7. So I knew he was going to have a big year in store. He bet on himself and he ended up being the Thorpe Award winner, best DB in the nation. And I don't think that's to any surprise. I think his 40 time even solidifies that he's not only a really good, football player, but he's got really good speed as well. So I like him going first round. I think if San Francisco or Pittsburgh or a lot of these teams pick him up, you're not just getting a cornerback. This guy can play safety for you as well. He can mix around in that secondary, and that's why I like him so much. And he's also a good person. So you're getting a really good, player in that. And I also liked Quinn Ewers. He had a up and down season, but he had a really good combine throwing the football. I think he, really improved his stock. So outside of Jackson Dart, I think Quinn Ewers had the best throwing session out of all the quarterbacks at the combine. So yeah, those are the Longhorns that I liked at the combine for sure. Hopefully Quinn's able to go to a good spot that's, able to develop him, like the Los Angeles Rams, the Miami Dolphins, Seattle Seahawks. Somewhere that's friendly to him in an offense that's got weapons, but he's only 21, so you want to sit him for a year, let him develop, and let him get healthy. But over his time at Texas, he's really improved, and I like Quinn. I think the talent is there. I think his 5-star rating is justified, and I think if you're able to really unlock him, you'll get a good player. And I don't think he's that expensive. I don't think he's going the first round. You'll probably be all right if you wait till the 3rd round, honestly. So, we'll see with Quinn, but I hope nothing for the best for him.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely see him in that 3rd round. Then you brought up some great teams when it comes to him. I think the Rams or the Seahawks would be a perfect spot where he could be behind 2 veteran quarterbacks. He could be behind Geno for a year, or Matthew Stafford, and he could learn a lot. Because I don't think he needs to be in a place where, okay, we need you at QB1 because you're not going to get the best out of Quinn. And the one other team I thought of when you brought up Jahdae Barron, I think the Packers would be another spot he could be at.
Yeah, the Packers, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm fingers crossed, I'm kind of hoping teams overthinking. They're like, oh, he's just a nickel, and then the Cowboys pick him up in the 2nd. But that's just wishful thinking.
That would be insane. That would be an insane steal.
Yeah. Imagine him with him and Deron Bland. If you get a healthy Diggs, you got a cornerback trio. But I know that's wishful thinking. But Jahdae Barron was just cold at Texas, and he repped that 7 well, and like he had the right number because some people get that number and they don't pan out. Jahdae Barron was a ball hawk out there.
Yeah, it's a good tradition. I hope it sticks. Kind of like 7 at LSU. I hope 7 at Texas sticks, and I hope another DB gets the chance to wear it this year. And hopefully that's Michael Tabb because I think he's showing out as a true captain over there for the secondary. And you can go back to the footage of when they lost against Ohio State, and he's in the locker room and he's just screaming. He's upset because they lost the game. I think he's a very good player. He proved it all year. This is a guy that's no stars, walk on, and he's ended up being one of the most productive players in college football. So yeah, we'll see with Michael Taft. I hope he wears that number 7.
Yeah, that I think that's definitely a good number for him. And that's saying a lot, him being a walk-on at the University of Texas, because we don't really get a lot of walk-ons that end up becoming superstars. They have walk-ons on the team. There may be solid special teamers, but this guy looking like he could be a first round pick next year. But I know that's bold thinking. But if you watch him play and he's like the heart and soul of that defense. He
Definitely.
bleeds that orange and white for sure.
He ain't the fastest guy, but he's one of the smartest, and he hits hard.
Yeah, that's the perfect definition of him. Uh,
Yeah.
Now getting into the Dallas Cowboys. So shout out to Professor O on Twitter. He definitely does a lot of great things. So he actually has the list of all of our formal visits. Is there like a guy that catches your eye the most on this list?
I mean, there's a lot of holes that we have for the Cowboys, and there's a lot of positions I think they can go. Running back, wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, cornerback, safety. I think linebacker is a spot that we should definitely be looking at. And, with the loss of DeMarvion Overshown, I think that's going to be something that we need to target. Maybe not in the first round, but like in these later rounds. And, I think an athletic guy like Jeffrey Bassett, where you can mix him around between middle linebacker and outside linebacker out of Oregon. I think it's a very good spot for him. I like him in the round 2 or 3 for sure. But there's other guys on that list that make a lot of sense too. Like, I would love to see Alfred Collins with the Cowboys. He was huge for us. Shout out to Cedar Creek Eagles, our rivals in high school. Yeah, he was pretty good. Michael Williams is a very good ball player. He's probably going to go round 1. I like Walter Nolan's game a lot, but, I think he'll be a later round 1 pick for some team down the road. I would be pretty shocked to see Will Johnson if he's there. But, I have been seeing that he's been dropping in a few mocks, and it kind of makes sense because there's only so many players that are like top 10 locks. So, I like linebacker. I really hope, round 1, they either target wide receiver, offensive line, or defensive line linebacker. You got those 4 positions. I think you get a starter at one of those spots, you're good.
Yeah. And another guy on linebacker that I'm actually a big fan of, I'll start watching him, is Carson Schwarzenegger at UCLA, who has great instinct. He's a former walk-on himself. He's 6'2", 225. And I think he would be a good will linebacker for the time being while DeMarvion Overshown's out. He kind of has that same skill set. He's a heat-seeking missile and also can cover as well. I think that'd be a great addition. I heard a lot of great things about Stutzman.
Yeah, he's good.
Alfred Collins is the one I would hope we can get maybe in the 3rd round, being as a rotational defensive lineman that we could develop into a starter on the other side of Osa. And another guy of course, Matthew Golden. One of my favorite running backs on here is Caleb Johnson and
Caleb. I've been seeing some round 1 for him. That's crazy, but I mean, he had a really good combine, and he was very productive at Iowa. He's kind of a back that can do it all.
Yeah, that's definitely when it comes to Caleb Johnson. Amari Hampton, who really showed out at the combine.
Yeah,
he's a big, solid running back that has good contact balance. Kind of remind me a little bit. It got a little bit of that DeMarco Murray in his game.
Yeah,
and like if that's a selling point, I think that would be a big selling point for him. I know they got him as a 1st round running back, so it's going to be a tough thing where you're like, I don't think Genty's going to be there for us. I think the Raiders are good. The Raiders are going to pick him up.
I think the Raiders or the Bears. I think the Bears really want Genty paired up with Caleb, and that makes sense. I mean, if all the comps and everything are true with Ashton Genty, then he can be your next LaDainian Tomlinson or Marshawn Lynch, where he's just a very, very good running back. And Amari Hampton, I can see being a very good running back as well. But the way I look at running back is that's a luxury pick. So if we pick a running back in round 1, then we better hope that we have a good enough O-line to, let the running back, be healthy and get some, good lanes to run through. Unfortunately, I don't think we're there yet. I think we got some bigger holes that need to get filled. So, and this is a very good running back class. So I think we can afford to, wait round 2, 3, 4 to target a running back.
Yeah, I definitely agree. One guy, I haven't watched all his film yet, but I plan on. And when you're speaking of offensive linemen, is Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, who dealt with some injuries, but
he's very good.
Yeah, that'd be a good addition. I know our main thing is adding who's going to be our center, who's going to be our guard. Like Zach Martin retired, are you going to put Cooper Beebe back to right guard, which he did really well at Kansas State, and he's got his offensive line coach? I think that'd be a good addition to have him back at guard, and we figure
Yeah.
out who we're gonna have center. I would like Hoffman as a more of as a just in case, and maybe we look at some centers, maybe in free agency, or maybe we bring in a center that I know that comes to mind is Jake Majors or something like that, or maybe a center in the early rounds, like who they got on there is a Jared Wilson, also another guy I need to look at. I haven't got the deep dive into the offense line, but I need to
Yeah.
because I know that's addition.
No, those are all great offensive linemen. I think a guy like Jake Majors is, unfortunately, he is going to be available around round 5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
You are getting a steal if you're getting him at 5, 6, 7. That's a guy that was a starter for multiple years at Texas, and he was very good. So, yeah, the offensive line coach at Texas, I think it's Kyle Flood, does a tremendous job of development. So,
yeah,
I like that.
and he's a master recruiter as well. So I
Mhm.
just the guys he's bringing in because for the longest Texas, this became a Longhorn centric show, but either way, but when it came before he was there, we always had a problem with developing offensive linemen. I think with Kyle Flood in the building, he's actually been developing some great offensive linemen. You need to see him they had a solid transition getting into the league and everything. And I think Jake Major is a high IQ guy and he's physical. He's dealt with his injuries, but if we got him in one of those 5th-round picks we have, I think he could develop into a really good center for us. I'm not saying an all pro, but if he's just a solid starter for us, that's a plus.
If you're getting a starter in your 5th-round pick, then you're hitting a home run. That's how I feel. I think this is a draft where the Cowboys are in a position where they want to try to hit on as many picks as possible. They want to get as many starters as possible in this draft because, unfortunately, last offseason, we didn't do too much. I think we ranked dead last as far as acquisitions in both the draft and free agency. So I hope they're able to turn it around this year. Obviously, we missed the playoffs. That wasn't the goal that we wanted in mind. Now we're in a division that's very tough. We have Philadelphia and the Commanders that we have to chase now, and the Giants are right behind us, and we don't want to be last in the division. So it's a competitive division. It's a competitive conference. So we got to try to turn this around and draft as many starters as possible. Have a really good free agency, and hopefully we go into the next season really good.
Yeah, because every other fan base will let us know how bad we are if we're dead last. Because we can't ease into losing.
It was a long year. Even when I knew Sunday was coming. We play at noon. We were gonna lose.
Yeah.
It was still a long year.
Yeah, and then doing shows about it was rough. It's just like you get a guest on, you're like, yeah, you're all gonna beat us tonight.
Yeah,
that hurts so much because we had an Eagle content creator on there, Commanders, and it was just rough saying that okay, y'all gonna beat us, and they were trying to be nice about it and be cordial, but I'm like, y'all gonna beat us. Our team
my
is
friends
pretty
are
much
nice
gutted.
about it. They'll let me know. They chirp me all year, so I'm hopefully they're able to turn it around.
Yeah, hey, I like that jacket though. I want to give me a star jacket.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, under we got the Longhorns showing out. They play tonight.
Yeah.
Those men, the men's basketball team has been rough this year. Hopefully they're able to turn it around. They're probably not gonna make the tournament, but just go out fighting, man. Just go out fighting.
Yeah. Hey, Trey Johnson been balling out though. I'll give him that for
That's
sure.
the first round pick right there, man. Yeah, I hope Trey finds a way to San Antonio. I would love to see him in San Antonio.
Oh, that'd be a great addition. We got so many first round picks. I'm like, why not we get Trey Johnson?
We got two for sure. Two for sure, and they're probably both gonna be lottery picks. So hopefully we're able to land the number 1 pick and maybe land the 10th pick, and you get Cooper Flagg and Trey Johnson. That's a really good draft right there.
Yeah, and then we already got De'Aaron Fox on the team, and then Wemby coming back. I'm like, okay, we got to load it. As long as everybody stays healthy, and we should be a really good team next year. Fingers crossed if we get those guys on this team. But the next thing is with the combine is a lot of the players like Shador Sanders, the Cam Wars, the Ashton Genties, the Cam Scottaboos, they didn't participate into the combine drills. They did more the interview process. But what is your thoughts on like a lot of these guys kind of opting out of doing the drills?
It's been a growing trend with quarterbacks projected to be drafted high in recent years. I mean, players such as Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, and Joe Burrow all opted out to showcase their skills during their pro day instead of the combine. I think both Cam Ward and Shador Sanders are first round worthy, and I think they will be taken in the first round in this upcoming draft, even without participating in the combine. Now, do I like it? I mean, I wish they would have been able to show out because, I mean, but they didn't have to. I mean, they had a really good college football season, both of them. Maybe not with their team records, but with their individual skills and what they were able to showcase. That being said, I think Jackson Dart benefited from participating in the combine because he was able to show out the combine, and he has a whole 2 years worth of good film versus SEC defenses, which I think, holds a little more weight to scouts and GMs because, you're playing in SEC, you're playing SEC defensive talent every single week compared to, a Rutgers or, a Northwestern in the Big Ten, or you're a Shador Sanders and you're playing against, I don't know, like Baylor or someone. Not to poop on Baylor or anything, but I'm just saying it's different in the level of, talent that you're playing at. So, yeah,
I think that's a big plus. And then the more quarterbacks you have in the first round, the more talented players could be right there when you get to I'm not just saying the Cowboys, but other team as well. Like if you get Jackson Dart in there in the first round, maybe the Jets are really high on him. Like, okay, that's a big plus right there for
I would love that.
Talent.
That means somebody's going to follow us.
Yeah, that's the plan. Is like I think those when you think of Cam Ward, Shador Sanders, and Jackson Dart, those are going to be your first round quarterbacks. Like the other guys would be too much of a reach, like the Milrose and the Ewers. I think those are your third round or maybe second round if you really need a good quarterback.
I agree.
Yeah, but when it comes to the combine, I think certain players you kind of wish they would have did it, like the Ted McMillan. You kind of wanted to see what his 40 time and everything, or Cam Scottaboo. But I think the understanding is okay. These guys may not have the best 40, but their film says something different.
Yeah.
But there's some general managers and teams that value the 40 time at a high level. Like if they have a slow 40 time, we're not going to draft you. So I could understand that scenario. And I get the Cam Wards and the Shorter Sanders. They're already solidified themselves as QB 1 and 2. Is like pick your poison of which one you like the most. I guess on the personality standpoint, I like Cam Ward a little bit. He has that walk on mentality. I know he was on the walk on. He went to UIW at first, and then Washington State and Miami. So he has a fun story. Shador Sanders, his father is Coach Prime, and he has that. And it's like you're between like those two quarterbacks, and then Jackson Darden's in there. Like he's that fringe first round quarterback you may have to pick up.
For teams that need a quarterback, teams like Tennessee or New York that's picking at the very top, I think it makes sense to go and get a quarterback this year. But Cowboys, we got Dak Prescott, so we're in no position to be looking at quarterback. And honestly, I don't think they should take one this year. I think if you're gonna want to consider a quarterback change, maybe consider next year when the draft might be a little bit better, a little bit more filled with quarterback talent. Because I think there is a drop off once you get past that top three between Dart and Milroe as far as like arm talent and stuff. Because Jalen Milroe, he's a really good prospect. Kind of reminds me of Anthony Richardson, but the consistency is definitely not there. And there's some performances against certain teams where kind of raises your eyebrows, like why didn't you do good against the Oklahoma defense at the end of the year that could have put you in the playoffs? So.
Yeah, I think he's more of a developmental prospect that could eventually be a good QB1. And one guy I like that I wouldn't mind as a QB2, like maybe use one of the fifth round picks, is like Kyle McCord, who has that good that back shoulder fade type of throwing, but he still needs to develop as a quarterback. I wouldn't mind him behind Dak, where he can maybe develop when they move on from Dak. If you say McCord is gonna be the next quarterback, yeah, but outside of the big three, like everybody else, you need to develop and let them become a QB1. But it's not a quarterback driven class this year. Honestly.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. But let me see. Oh, okay. All right. So it's been a great show, but I wanted to get this last one from you. With the 12th overall selection, the Dallas Cowboys select who?
If he's on the board, I really like us taking Kelvin Banks for offensive line from Texas. I think, with the retirement of Zach Martin, I think we definitely need to upgrade there. And I think, getting an elite offensive lineman round one like Banks You could put him at either tackle spot. He'll play with Tyler Guyton, Cooper Beebe, and we got Hoffman on the line. And we'll continue to work to filling up that O line, but we're bolstering this O line to be strong like we once were in the '90s. And we even had a really good, strong offensive line during the 2000s to 2010s. And if you want that running back round one, like you want to do, you got to have a good O line to have a good run game. So I like offensive line, but I also understand that Dak Prescott needs some help with the receivers. So receiver round one definitely would, be of a need as well. So like a guy like Luther Burden, a Matthew Golden, a Ted McMillan, a Mecca Egbuka, they all make sense. So I like receiver offensive line round one.
Okay. So with my selection, we talked about him a lot, and I selected Matthew Golden. And when you think of last year, when you took out CeeDee Lamb, you didn't really have that wide receiver too. You kind of hope Tober does, but Tober's at best a 3 or 4. What I see in Golden, yes, he's not the tallest wide receiver, but when I was looking at his film, he's an agile receiver, and he can both play inside or outside. He has that versatility. He has another thing, he's shifty. He's available to get off of defenders and get that separation, because when it comes to Dak, he's a guy that wants to get that ball out quickly, and Matthew Golden can be that Dak-friendly type of receiver he needs beside a CeeDee Lamb. He could be your wide yes, you got Jake Ferguson, but I think he could be your receiver 3, and Golden could be your receiver 2, and then, of course, CeeDee Lamb. And he's a route-running technician who's still developing the route tree, and I think in his first year, he's going to be he'll be a significant contributor to this offense. Like you were saying, that running back you can move to running round 3 and maybe 5th, pushing it, but you can maybe go in round 2 and still find a good quality running back like a Quinshawn Junkins or Travion Henderson, and you'll still be good. Like, I think you should solidify that receiving core and have a good wide receiver too, because that's been a dire need since we got rid of Amari Cooper.
Yeah, and it's a stacked running back class. You mentioned waiting until like round 5, and you can afford to do that with guys like Taj Brooks, Rocket Sanders, RG Harvey. There's a lot of good players on the board there at the running back position. But I like boosting up that offensive line or receiver for sure.
Yeah, like giving the Dak time, and also giving him another weapon that he needs on this team, because last year we were kind of hoping rookies and UDFAs were gonna be our next guys, but that didn't pan out. So I hope they add weapons to this team and hopefully get this offensive line moving. Even if they have to go in free agency, look at some offensive linemen, that'd be fine as well, and figure out where we're gonna put Cooper Beebe at, because he was like one of the best players we got in the draft last year, because everybody else kind of was like, or you just didn't see him out there. So
he was a value pick. I mean, he ended up starting games for us, and I kind of figured with him and Guyton they were going to be, playing a lot for us, and they ended up doing that. So
I know a lot of people are hard on Guyton. Like, this is his first year. Not every offensive lineman they're gonna be superstars like a Tyron Smith or Tyler Smith or a Zach Martin. Like, he's the guy that was a tight end in his first years in college, and he's still developing it as an offensive lineman. He has all the traits to be a great left tackle, but I think it's to give him time. And now you got an offensive line coach that's going to teach him and help him develop as a left tackle. I think he's going to be a good left tackle on this team. And Cooper Beebe is a mauler, and he's physical, and he's got that demeanor. And I think he'd be perfect at guard. And you figure out who's going to be your center, and I think it would be good. Terrence Steele, I know he had that ACL injury a couple of years, but he's getting back to what he once was. You've seen it later on in the season. So I think we're just like one offensive line, just having a really good offensive line. They're young and still developing, but I think like you were saying, offensive line is a need for this team, and then we'll figure out who's going to be our running back in maybe round 3 or 5, because it's a deep class.
Yeah, it is, and I'm excited for it. And like you said about Guyton, I think when we drafted him, he was really young, coming out of Oklahoma, and I kind of always knew he was going to be a couple years away from being a really good tackle. Cooper Beebe we drafted with no years of eligibility left for him at Kansas State. He was a veteran at Kansas State, and he kind of proved that this year, where he showed up and he's showed out, playing at center and playing at guard. So I like, a guy like Banks round one could be good for us. I think that's another guy that kind of, he is young, but he kind of fits more of that Banks where he's played a lot of meaningful snaps and he was a starter for his whole tenure at Texas. And let me remind you, he was the most decorated offensive lineman in the nation. So he won the Outland.
Yeah, we could with Banks, you could figure out where you want to put him at right guard, you want to put him at left tackle, or rearrange because
I would put him at tackle just because he played tackle, but I know that guard discussion's been going on this whole offseason, so we'll see,
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like those guys, and then you maybe could throw in a Ted McMillan. Those could be your three that the Cowboys are looking at. I think running
Yeah,
back will be in day 2 or day 3, early day 3. But
I agree. And I think there was a report that came out that said Cowboys weren't looking at a first round running back, even if Genty's on the board. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see how much truth there is to that, but I like that.
Yeah, we still got a little ways until the combine, but I'm not the combine, the draft, but their free agency is coming soon. So hopefully, when we have our next episode together, we'll be talking about how they added some great additions to this team. But hey, I appreciate you for being on the show, bro.
Yes, man. Always, brother. It was a great time as always.
Absolutely. But before I let you go, you got anything going on that they could where they could follow you at and everything else?
You can follow me at Justin Chute _ on Instagram and Twitter. I have not been very active with my own podcast. I've been busy in school trying to finish up this bachelor's degree. I'm also a basketball analyst right now, so that's been taking up most of my time breaking down some basketball film. It's March. It's a very busy month for me with college ball and all that. But y'all can follow me on at Justin Chute _ on Twitter and Instagram. And y'all follow me. I might follow you back. We'll see.
Yes, sir, babe. This has been Tacos and Touchdown Live. We'll be back next week unless there's some breaking news with the Dallas Cowboys or the Texas Longhorns. But y'all have a good one.
Peace. Yes, sir.